Go ahead, Mr. Michaels.
Okay, please state your name.
Vivian Reeves.
Okay. And do you know Curtis Reeves?
Yes,
How do you know Curtis Reeves?
he's my husband.
Now, we've met Matthew and Jennifer. Are those your children?
Yes.
Do you have any other children?
No,
We heard about your grandchild Madison. Any other grandchildren?
just Madison.
Okay. Now, how old are you?
75.
And so back in 2014, on January 13th, how old were you?
Couldn't make me do math.
67?
Thank you.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about that. Of 67, how long have you been married to Mr. Reeves?
54 years last October.
So back then it would have been 46 years.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, during that time, I guess you got married when you were young. Is it fair to say by 2014 you were growing old together?
Yes.
Now let's talk about some of the things that you've noticed and certainly that your husband noticed about you. On 2014, did you look older than you did when you got married?
Yes.
Did you look older than you did 10 years before that?
Yes.
Now let's talk about some of the things that you were feeling. Let's talk about your in terms of looks. Let's talk about your arms and hands. Okay, did your arms look the same as they did 10 years before 2014?
No.
Or your hands?
No.
And so, what about the I want to say that the quality of your skin. Did you bruise more easily around 2014?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I can hit something and get that dark purple bruise.
Okay. And what about cuts?
My skin is very thin. I have scars from hitting things. Oh, I have scars from when I fell and hit things.
All right. And so back in 2014, that was kind of your state in terms of your skin.
Yes.
Let's talk about your hands. Back in 2014, did you have difficulty performing tasks around the house?
I did.
Okay. Such as opening jars, yes or no?
Yes.
All right. And let me ask you, in terms of your hands themselves, did your hands feel stiff, or were you still able to move them like you used to back in 2014?
No, they're stiff.
And did you have pain in your hands?
Yes.
In the morning?
Various times.
Okay. In terms of your breathing back in 2014, did you have difficulty at times breathing?
Yes, I did.
Did you have difficulty at times breathing when you walked up the stairs?
Yes,
And did you go seek treatment for that?
I did.
And were you eventually sent to Moffitt for some
Yes.
treatment? Okay. Now, let's talk about your knees and legs. I saw you limped up here. Were you limping in 2014 or not like that?
Not like this, but I had a problem
Okay. Did you have pain in your knees back then?
in one knee.
Okay. And that's something that you addressed through some treatment?
Yes.
Now, you said you fell down. When you fell down, were you in the house?
Yes.
And was your husband Curtis there?
Yes.
And did Mr. Reeves try to pick you up?
One of those times, yes.
Okay. And did he have problems doing that?
He couldn't.
Now, let's talk a little bit about what you noticed about your husband. Again, he looks older than when you married him, right?
Yes.
Would you agree that in the last 10 years before 2014, he's looked older and older?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Has he gained weight since his retirement?
A lot of weight. Yes.
Talking about Mr. Reeves' arm and skin on his arms, did you notice him bruising?
Yes.
Okay. And what sort of things did you see that would cause a bruise around the house?
He used to work, he doesn't now, but he used to work with wood and with metal, and he was always hurting himself or picking up sticks that fell out of the oak trees. He his skin would break.
Okay. And so his skin would break, you described, when he would be working in the yard?
Yes.
And did you do anything to try to treat that injury?
Yes. I bought Dermend for bruising. It didn't do very much, but we still use it. And for cuts, it's a powder that burns. I can't think of the name of it. And it wound seal.
And you were using that prior to 2014?
Yes.
Now let's talk a little bit about, you know what your husband obviously did for a living.
Yes.
Now when he retired, let me ask you this. While he was with the Tampa Police Department, was he a person that always kept very physically fit?
He did.
Okay. And did he run as far as you knew?
He did.
And at some point, did he stop running?
Yes.
Now, he then worked for, your husband worked for Busch Gardens. When he worked for Busch Gardens, did he have to get some kind of special shoes?
He bought better shoes than he was wearing. He got 2 pair, a black pair and a brown pair. And he had to go and have orthotics made to go in his shoes.
And that was prior to 2014?
Yes.
Was he also receiving some treatment, such as injections in the bottom of his feet?
Yes.
And was he also using a TENS machine?
Yes.
Now, when he worked around the yard, as he got older, did he wear any sort of brace or any sort of
He wore
equipment?
a brace that went all the way around his middle. He's had several. I think one had straps on it, but he's had several different braces.
Now, we're talking before 2014 up to January 13th of 2014. Did you ever notice your husband have difficulty in, for instance, tying his shoes?
Yes.
Okay. Did he have trouble all the time or just sometimes?
Just sometimes.
In terms of buttoning his buttons and that sort of thing, would he have trouble sometimes?
Sometimes.
Now, the day that this happened, January 13th, let's talk a little bit about that. On that day, was your husband able to dress himself?
Yes.
Okay. Put on his shirt, all that?
Yes.
Tie his shoes?
Yes.
Okay. Did he tie his shoes?
I don't know. I don't think he had shoes that tied.
Okay, we'll talk about that a little later. And so what were the plans for January 13th?
It happened in the morning. It was not planned ahead. He had returned with my son from a hunting trip.
Your husband?
Yes.
Okay.
And Curtis wanted to go see the movie Lone Survivor because Matt had read the book and then Curtis read it. And it probably originally was going to be just Matt and Curtis, but I wanted to go because it was based on a true story.
All right. And so you decided to go to a matinee, is that right?
Yes.
Why a matinee?
We always went to matinees. I think it's cheaper.
Okay. And so who drives to the movies?
Curtis drive.
Okay, so it's you and Curtis in the car?
Yes.
And what are the plans in terms of your son, Matt?
He was going to meet us there.
Now, what happens when you get to the theater? There's some places that are right in front. Why did you park in those places? Let me ask you this. Did you purposely park far away from the theater, or did you park as close as you could with an open space?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember walking from the car
Yes,
to the
I
theater?
do.
Any problems walking there?
No.
Okay. Did Mr. Reeves have any problems walking there?
No.
All right. And so you get to the theater, you get to the window. Who pays for the ticket?
Curtis.
All right. And so you buy the tickets at the window, and then you go into the lobby, I would imagine.
Yes.
Okay. What happens once you get into the lobby of the movie theater?
We bought popcorn and one drink.
Okay. And the popcorn, was that his, yours?
Both of us.
Okay. You were going to share it?
Share it.
And before you went in the theater, did you make any other stops?
Yes, I went to the restroom.
Now, when you walk into the theater, do you have any plan on sitting in any certain section of the theater?
No. We generally like to sit in the middle, not all the way up. That's the first time we've done that, but I don't know how to say. In that upper section, probably the middle.
Okay, so not quite all the way where you all sat,
Right.
but somewhere between the front and the back.
Yes.
The middle.
Yes.
And so when you went in the theater, why didn't you sit in that middle section?
The theater was not full, but people were spaced apart, and we were looking for 3 seats together, and preferably 5, because I like to leave a seat on the edge if the theater's not full.
All right, and so was the plan to have Curtis Reeves, you in the middle, and then Matt on
Yes.
the end? And then 1 extra seat on the side, that
Yes.
little room. And so that's how you ended up in the rear of the theater, the back room.
Yes.
Okay. Now, once you get into the theater, are you there before the previews start?
Yes.
Now, as you walk in, now you know it was Mr. Oulson and Mrs. Oulson. Tell me where they were seated in relation to where you and Curtis Reeves sit, you and your husband, Curtis.
Mr. and Mrs. Oulson were in the row in front of us. Mr. Oulson was in front of me, and Mrs. Oulson was in front of Curtis.
Okay. Now, when you went to sit in your seats, do you notice anything about Mr. Oulson?
His phone screen is lit. He's doing something on his phone.
Okay. Do you know what he was doing?
No, I don't.
Was he talking on the phone?
No, sir. Not that I heard.
And so now you sit down.
Yes.
Okay, who has the popcorn?
Curtis was carrying it, and I took a Ziploc bag from home and just put some in it so I could hold it.
All right, so you're holding your popcorn and Curtis Reeves,
Yes.
holding his popcorn. Now, you said the previews didn't come on. Do you at some point see a message saying, the movie theater telling people to put away their phones?
Yes, I did.
And once that happens, tell me, is there any sort of conversation or any kind of communication between your husband and Mr. Oulson?
Yes, Curtis leaned forward toward Mr. Oulson, and he spoke so softly. I don't know. I thought that I heard the word phone, but I cannot be sure.
And would you say, did you hear really either one of them talk except for maybe the word phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you didn't hear either one of them? In other words,
no.
you didn't hear your
I heard-
husband. Did you hear your husband?
I know. I couldn't hear him.
Okay.
Maybe I heard the word phone,
Okay.
but I'm not certain.
All right. And so they were both speaking in lower tones, is that fair to say?
No.
Okay, tell me what you mean by that.
Mr. Oulson very loudly said,
We're going to get there. So first what happens is Curtis leans forward and you hear some soft conversation.
Yes.
You don't know who spoke first, do you?
Curtis did.
And then you hear something, the word phone. That's what you described,
Yes.
something like that. Okay. And then after that, what happens?
Mr. Oulson responded in a very loud and ugly voice.
Okay, now, you don't have to say the word, but texting, or do you just remember that he said the word daughter?
I'm not certain.
Now, at that point, were the previews on?
Yes.
And were you able to hear Mr. Oulson's voice over the previews?
Oh, yes.
Were the previews, was Mr. Oulson's voice then louder than the previews?
It was loud. It was louder than the previews.
Now, was it possible that the trailers were playing? In other words, okay.
Yes.
And that's the same as previews to you.
Previews.
Now, let me ask you this. When you heard that response from Mr. Oulson, how did it make you feel?
It scared me. I've never.
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Okay. So let's take out that it scared you. You heard that those words, and tell me then what happened next.
I don't know what period of time, short time. Curtis handed me his pop. He stood up. He handed me his popcorn, and stood up and said, "I'm going to get the manager."
All right. Now, when you saw your husband stand up and get to get the manager, at that point, had Mr. Oulson turned around at all, or you're just hearing him?
I'm just hearing him.
Now, your husband gets up, tells you he's going to get the manager. Do you say anything to your husband?
I said, "Let's just move."
Do you know if your husband heard you or not?
I don't.
Did he respond to you at all?
No.
Did he say, "We're not going to move"?
No.
You've known your husband for almost 50 years at that point, now over 50 years. Did your husband appear to be angry to you?
No.
Was he mumbling at all?
No.
Now tell me what you saw your husband do. He got up, you described, and then what happened?
And then he slowly felt his way down the aisle.
Okay, and as your husband leaves, do you watch him leave, or this time are you watching the screen?
I was not looking at Mr. Oulson. I was either looking to his right side. I saw the screen, but I couldn't tell you what was on the screen. I didn't want to be there.
Okay, and so is there a reason why you just didn't get up and move?
Well, Curtis had texted Matt, I think, where we were sitting, and I thought about getting up, but I didn't.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you agree or disagree with me that you were expecting your son to come in any minute and sit next to you?
Yes.
Now, when your husband left, I guess at some point, does he come back?
Yes.
Now, once your husband comes back, tell me what happened. Is there some kind of conversation between your husband and Mr. Oulson in front of him?
Yes, but something happens before that.
Tell me about it.
Curtis sits down and takes his popcorn from me.
Okay, so when Curtis Reeves comes back, your husband, he passes in front of you?
Yes.
And when he passes in front of you, does he say anything to you?
No.
Again, do you hear him grumbling in any way?
No.
And when he passes you, he takes back the popcorn. Is that what you described?
Right.
Okay. And then you described that he sits down again to your left.
Yes.
Because I forgot to ask you that. Your husband is seated to your left.
Yes.
Now, once your husband sits down, does something happen?
He leans forward. And
Your husband?
Yes.
Okay. And do you hear anything that your husband said?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Do you agree or disagree with me that you observed both men speaking, Mr. Oulson and your husband?
Yes.
Do you know who spoke first?
I'm not sure.
And that's fair. So if you don't know who spoke first, you don't know who spoke first, right?
Right.
So do you know who spoke first?
I don't.
Sustained.
Now, did you hear Mr. Oulson say anything in response to your husband leaning forward?
Objection, hearsay.
It's not for the truth of the matter, sir. May we approach you?
Yes, approach.
Okay, sidebar. First of probably many during the Vivian Reeves testimony. Vonda Sargent, so far, what stands out to you? At one point, she says, I said, let's just move, and I didn't want to be there. Your thoughts?
That really stood out to me, that something was going on there that was so big and so fraught with anxiety for her that she wanted to move. So that takes away from this whole idea that that her husband was completely calm and being reasonable, and that Chad Oulson was out of control, or if Chad was so out of control, she knew something was going on and she wanted to just move. And it also speaks, it's very interesting to me that she didn't just get up and move. And her rationale behind it was her husband had already texted their son. So to me, I'm getting some other underpinnings there of a little bit of control from the husband. I noted when Matthew
Vaughn, I want to
testified,
cut you off. The sidebar's broken up. More testimony.
Who then?
And was this loud enough for you to hear?
Oh, yes.
Now, at that point, was Mr. Oulson seated still, or had he turned around?
This all happened very quickly. It's hard to take it a piece at a time. He did stand up and
Well,
turn
we're going to
around.
talk about that. So, in terms of when Mr. Oulson said that, do you remember whether he was sitting or standing up?
I'm not sure.
Now, at some point, does Mr. Oulson stand up?
Oh, yes, very quickly.
And when he stands up, does he turn around?
Yes,
And when you say turn around, he's right in front of you.
yes,
Is that right?
yes.
And when he turns around, is he facing you?
He's leaning towards Curtis.
Okay. So he's right in front of you, you're saying, and leaning towards your husband.
Yes.
Yeah, excuse me. I would object to the summing up of the testimony. We've let it go a couple times, but now we're into some critical testimony, so I object to the summation of the testimony by counsel.
Your Honor, just putting it into context, certainly I'm not asking you the same question again.
No, he's gratuitously.
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Okay, another sidebar. Vonda, picking up where we left off there. How's she doing? She seems fairly comfortable and sure of herself. How would you assess the way she's testifying?
She seems very well coached to me. There were a few times where the defense asked her questions that they wanted to get a response for. I think one of them was, where were you parked? And that was the next question that it appeared to me they had coached her on, and she just drew a blank, and he had to move on from that. So she seems very well coached. I think they've gone a bit far with trying to say that Curtis Reeves was not upset at all. Who gets up during a movie or the beginning of a movie to go get the manager because everything's happy-go-lucky? So I think that was pushing it a wee bit. I think also her not being able to hear what her husband's saying to Chad might cut against him, because now you can't argue what it is he said to Chad. I mean, what he said, what Curtis said to Chad. It could have been something threatening. It could have been, something that made him want to get up and, lean over and get in his face. So I would give her about a C minus as far as her testimony, and that's because she's maintaining her composure to this point. But to me, it is clear that she's been very well coached. It is a fantastic story to believe that her husband was a picture of calm, cool, collected behavior, yet he's so enraged by a small screen on a phone that he'll go get the manager.
Yeah, he wasn't angry, he wasn't mumbling. All right, let's go back in. Sidebar's over.
He leans towards Curtis. It seemed like his whole upper body was leaning towards Curtis.
And when you observe that motion, how did it make you feel in terms of what it looked like to you?
I thought he was coming over, and it just freaked me out. I was terrified.
You thought that Mr. Oulson was coming over the seat?
I did.
And so what happened when you saw that?
I briefly saw Curtis lean back.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay,
You see Mr. Oulson now leaning over the seat,
yes,
and do you, at that point, look at your husband?
briefly, because he moved.
And tell me what you mean. Your husband moved?
I could see that his body was moving
Moving in which direction?
towards the left.
Okay, and you're kind of leaning back as well. Is that what you're trying to describe here?
Yes.
Okay, so you see after your husband leans back and to his left, do you see your husband's leg at all?
I think his leg was stretched out.
His right leg?
Yes.
And do you see your husband reaching for his pistol?
I do not.
Certainly you knew that your husband probably had one, right?
He normally did, but I never even, it's not something I thought about.
Did your husband announce it to you? I'm taking my pistol or anything like that?
No.
Now, you see, once your husband leans back and stretches out his leg, do you see Mr. Oulson doing anything more to your husband?
I either closed my eyes or turned to the right.
Do you see Mr. Oulson going back over his seat then again?
No.
Do you see Mr. Oulson reaching over the seat again?
No.
Do you see Mr. Oulson grabbing the popcorn from your husband's hand?
Not personally. The only place I saw that was on the video.
Okay, so when you were in the theater, did you see that?
No.
Did you see Mr. Oulson bringing back the popcorn?
No.
Did you see Mr. Oulson then move forward with it
No.
and throw it in your husband's face?
No.
Did you see the shot?
No.
Did you hear it?
Yes.
What happened once you saw the shot? What did you do?
At some point, I moved a couple of seats away, but I couldn't do that until people got up and moved.
Okay. And what was your emotional state at that point?
I didn't know what happened, and I couldn't believe it. I was never been that scared before in all my life.
Now, were you scared because of Mr. Oulson coming towards your husband?
That's when it started.
Now, did you look over at your husband after the shot?
Eventually.
Okay. Did you see him touching his face or doing anything with his
He had
hands?
his hands up to this area.
Did you look on the ground and see anything?
I did.
What did you see?
I saw a cell phone and popcorn.
Okay. And where was the cell phone located?
It was between Curtis's feet. It wasn't the picture that I've seen. It wasn't that close. Like if this was the ledge. In the pictures I've seen, it looked pretty close, but it was further back when I saw it.
Okay. And so when you took a look at that, did you know whose phone that was?
This was stupid because Curtis didn't have his phone out, but I didn't think anybody else's phone would be there, so I thought it was his.
Now, did you see your husband get hit with anything
I didn't.
or get punched?
No.
But after Mr. Oulson leaned over the seat as you described the first time, agree or disagree with me, you, aside from seeing your husband move in his seat, you didn't see anything else? Agree or disagree?
All right, I'll agree.
Agree or disagree, you didn't see anything else after that?
No.
Now, at some point, do you see your son in the theater?
Yes, but yes, I did.
Okay.
Coming down I think he was in our row.
All right. And does he take you out of the theater?
Not then. He had blood on his hands and his clothes.
Okay. And so did he leave and come back?
Yes, he said, let me get cleaned up.
Now, does he come back into the theater to get you?
He does.
And where do you go from there?
We went to the little tables by the concession stand.
And what happens while you're there?
I thought that Matt went out again, but I'm not. But people started coming out of the theater and sitting at those tables and talking.
Did you hear them talking about, without telling me what they were saying, what was going on?
I do not remember what they were saying. I was so upset that I don't know what they were saying.
So at some point, do you speak to police?
Yes.
Do you know how many you spoke to?
I talked to Detective Smith, I think, and then 2 detectives interviewed me and recorded it, but there were people coming in and out.
Okay.
When I say people, I meant sheriff's deputies.
So you spoke to one detective, I guess, verbal, speaking to him,
Yes,
that wasn't recorded.
right.
Then you spoke to another one that was recorded.
Yes.
Okay. The one you spoke to, did you tell that particular detective that? Did you tell them that you told your husband that you wanted to move and he refused to move?
No,
To move seats?
no.
May I approach the clerk, please?
You may.
May I have the State's Exhibit 50, please? May I approach the witness?
You may.
Mrs. Reeves, I'm showing you what's been marked State Exhibits 60. Do you remember that?
I do.
Do you recognize that shoe?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you recognize that shoe?
That's the kind of shoe that Curtis wore that didn't tie.
Well, let's talk about that. Is that the shoe he was wearing that day?
I assume it is.
Okay. Is that the type and
Yes.
brand?
The brand.
Is that his size?
Yes.
Now let's look at these laces. Are these laces that you have to tie?
No. Their shoes were just like my granddaughter's.
Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you. Cross?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll get a quick break here, and cross-examination is next. Stay with us.
Derek Chauvin.
What happened next?
I don't know what period of time, short time. Curtis handed me his He stood up. He handed me his popcorn and stood up and said, "I'm going to get the manager."
All right. Now, when you saw your husband stand up and go to get the manager, at that point, had Mr. Oulson turned around at all, or you're just hearing him?
I'm just hearing him.
Now, your husband gets up, tells you he's going to get the manager. Do you say anything to your husband?
I said, "Let's just move."